Yep. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Sudip Maiti, early career designer. Welcome to Classroom to Boardroom Talk Show, episode number 8. We have gathered here to enlighten you about the different ways by which the transition from classroom to boardroom can easily happen. We'll discuss about the hurdles and challenges that come along the way. Take charge of your career and also listen to the different eminent person who have excelled in their own field. Today we have invited one of the industry's top leaders who has more than 3 decades of experience in IT industry and currently performing a role of director IT in one of the leading pharma company. He has worked with Fortune 500 companies in IT service and life science industry. Let me welcome Mr. Prasun Maiti in this talk show. Welcome, Mr. Prasun. So, yeah,
Thank you, Sudeep. Good evening to everyone who has joined. Sudeep, let me introduce myself. And before I do that, first, I would like to thank you for inviting me um, to this talk show. And the work that you are doing, it's really good. And I'm hoping it's helping a bigger audience. So it's my pleasure. And I would like to congratulate you all who have joined this evening. It's Sunday evening, 7 o'clock, and you could have invested or spent your time in many ways, but you chose to join this talk show because you thought that it is something you are investing for your better future. So I congratulate you to differentiate yourself from the crowd. So that's a great thing. So as Sudeep said, I have been in the industry for quite some time. I did my schooling from West Bengal in India. I did my master's. I did my bachelor's from Calcutta University. I did my master's from Kanpur. Um, Worked in multiple companies, as Sudeep said, and last probably some 20 plus years I've been in the United States, living in New Jersey. It's 40 miles from New York City and 60 miles from Philadelphia. I'm in between that place. Ever since I came to this country, I'm there. But I worked for many companies in the United States as well. But currently, I'm working for a leading pharma company, and the pharma company, you probably know the name. I'm not going to mention, but if you name top 5 companies, my company is right there. And in recent days during COVID period, this company also came in news in many way, in a good way, because we were fortunate to bring the very sought after COVID vaccine in the market. And I had the opportunity to personally work in that project during the COVID time, while we are developing uh, the COVID vaccine. And we also brought the therapy as well. So right now, even the COVID therapy is available in the market. So we had, during this pandemic period when everyone was locked in, staying at home, we have been working um, every day in the week, making sure that our clinical study is going on right, the patient enrollments are happening right. We are monitoring data, making sure there is no adverse event, there is no disruption in the study and trial. We are collecting data at the right time and submitting to the board and getting reviewed. So every aspect of this we lived through for 8 months before we brought this vaccine to the market. It was an exciting journey, and very glad that we were able to do that and impact the world in a positive way. So this is one of few highlights that's in my career, but I'm very excited that I'm going to talk to you all. Hopefully, I'll be able to give some insights, some tidbits, some examples um, that will probably trigger some mindset in you, that if Prasoon can do it, we could do it too. The challenges he had gone through, we could also overcome some of those. So, Sudeep.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your brief introductions. Yeah. Let me ask you the few query exactly. So I know Mr. Prasun for the quite long time. Yeah, it's a my pleasure to interview to you here in this particular talk. So I'm asking you this just one quick question. How do you develop your growth mindsets and accelerate in your career journey? So if you can briefly tell about that to the audience, so that would be really helpful for the audience, I would say.
Absolutely. So there. Before even going to how I have developed, but just wanted to let you know that there are two sets of mindset, right? You have your fixed mindset, and then you have your growth mindset. And there are abundance of example of fixed mindset, right? We were born in a place, and there your surroundings, your circumstances, your people you associated with, they help you develop a fixed mindset that say, oh, you are born in such and such family, you are going to destined to be a teacher or um, a engineer or a doctor or something, or you are a farmer or a businessman or whatever. And then you have your association that's going to tell you could do certain things, you couldn't do certain things. Oh, you can't do that, and you are not intelligent, you are not handsome, you are not tall, you are not smart. And these are the things actually defined your destiny, defined your thoughts, and all of those things, and kind of confined you or I have seen others in a boundary, in a box, and you stay there. And then you start questioning yourself that, you know what, I can't do it. This is my ability. That's far. That's the extent I could go. But then the other set of thing that we call as the growth mindset that Sudeep was alluding is that your your mindset is based on your essential qualities that you can develop through discipline, through your effort, and by changing your thoughts on an everyday basis, in everyday basis, right? So that's the difference. And um, and if you see, I mean, Sudeep, your question was how did I develop that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It's it's when you get that challenge by your association, or you see things happening the way it is happening and you are not happy. You bring that other side of you, right? Saying that, no, Preston, that's not right. I could do more. I am worthy of something that people don't know, but I know, right? I got to bring that back. It's like, I'm going to tell you, you are probably facing the same thing. Maybe your uncle is telling you can't do this or you can't do that. But do not listen to those negative thoughts. You are a gold. You have a huge talent. It's just waiting to be uncovered. And you just have to explore those things. You have to believe in yourself first. And sometimes that triggers, Sudeep, in my case, it was by people's challenge and people's negative um, definition about me, or drawing boundaries, and that challenged me. And people used to tell Preston, you are not as intelligent, you are not as worthy. And I remember, I'll tell my personal story. When I was little, um, people believe in astrology, and and one of the palmists came to our house, and my mom said, can you check his palm? And this astrologer was telling me, Ma, your son is not going to go to college. Your son is not going to go to college. And I was just thinking, how does he know? that I'm not going to. It's me who is going to study, who is going to do everything, how he's going to define. And by this example, I'm just telling you that you will come across in many way, and I came across in many days, in many way that try to define me. And I kind of challenge that all the time. I said, it's me, and I know my ability. I can extend whichever way I want. And the only thing I control is my effort. And that's what I controlled. And that's what I did.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the great things. Yeah, yeah. My next query, so on top of this particular query itself, so how your mindset affects to the success for anyone else? How someone mindset?
So, there are few things when you develop that mindset. Uh, it's not easy. Your subconscious mind is always going to tell you, is going to drag you down, right? Uh, in You have to be conscious and diligent every day, every moment you make a decision. There, the decision is like you have both ways to go, right? You get up in the morning, you have your alarm clock, right? And I can ask you, if we could do interactive, I can ask you, how many of you get up exactly at the time when your alarm clock is set? Your decision
Correct.
making starts right from there. Am I going to get up exactly at the same time, or I'm going to sleep for another 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And some people even sleep half an hour after the alarm, right? Your um, decision or choices starting from the beginning of the day. And as you go through, you have those choices, and you keep taking those choices. And you have to be conscious in making the right choices. Is it going to confine me in a box, or is this going to give me more possibilities to explore? And your daily habits is going to translate to your bigger and long term habits. That's going to contribute to goal. Let me tell you this thing. I mean, in any journey, if you take, I mean, it starts with a goal, right?
Correct.
It starts with a dream. I'm sorry. You want to be certain thing, a certain person, or in certain level of being a human being, right? That's your dream, right? And then you translate that dream into goal. And I don't know whether you had any such session about goal setting. Goal has to be smart, right? It has to be simple, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, and then it has to have a time. So you have your dream, you have to have a goal, and once you have the goal, you have to have a plan, and then you work towards the plan, right? And then as you work, and then in every step of the way, the mindset is going to be questioned, and you have a choice to make. And depending on the choice you make, whether you are going to be sticking to your plan, or you will be diverted from your plan, that's going to define. But it is not easy, it is hard. But if you develop that practice and keeping that in mind, I think over the time it will be easier and easier. And after some time, it will be your second nature. You know what? This is what I'm going to do. And it will be easier going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is the correct thing. So as per my knowledge, so yeah, your habit is decide your future. So whatever your habit you will develop from your childhood, that habit will give you the benefit to you in your later stage. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, how does having this growth mindset would help for the for anyone as a future employee for the organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my company, we we are it's a global company, and we have about 100,000 people around the world. as employee, right? And then we do have probably another 100,000 contractor and partners and service providers. So it's a huge company. Um, and in order to sustain the way the company is running, and we try to develop talent, right? We go to universities and colleges in United States and we recruit people, and you call it as campus interview, right? It's not exactly in that format, but we do recruit young talent, and they're very smart, very talented, very energetic, lots of ideas, um, and just like you, who all are listening today. And when we recruit, we have a program called rotational program. So 2 years, we rotate them in different roles and then teach them basic things. I think there is no shortage in technical skill there. But what is important in these 2 years, what we teach them is that mindset, how we can make them a better leader who takes responsibility, or who can take the ownership, and develop that kind of mindset. And we help them because that's what we are looking for. Because in business or in life, nothing is predictable. You can predict in certain way, there will be unpredictable, there'll be uncertainties. Who predicted 2 years back there will be a pandemic, right? Who predicted that that so many people will die, and then industry has changed, and then who predicted that everyone will be working from home, right? So if you think, life is going to throw you a curveball, and so as the business all the time. And in order to do that, yes, skill is needed, but more importantly, you have to have that mindset, the resilience. And every situation there, you have to act quick. You have to gather and assess information about why this has happened, and then you have to develop in your mind, what are my solutions, and then you have to judge those solution options. Which one is short term fix, which one is long term fix, which one has pros and cons. You have to weigh in everything. You don't have much time, and then you are at the driver's seat. How would you make that decision? Until and unless you have that mindset developed, it's very difficult to prepare for that kind of role. And the reason I took that example of our rotational program, where we bring people from colleges and universities, we teach them some of the traits that developing a growth mindset has. And what we teach them, I'm going to tell you probably few points, if you don't mind. Um, there is first thing we teach them is, be prepared to embrace failure. Because whatever you do, don't think that it will be always success, success, success. The failure is going to come. Okay. And in my life, if I just see, and you all are starting your career journey, right? And you are probably giving interviews or preparing for interviews, and you probably had given 3 written tests, and probably you couldn't clear. Some of you might have clear written test, but then again in the interview you might not have cleared it, and things like that. I'll give you my example. In my almost 30 years career, I got 17 offer letters, probably 17, 18. I don't know. I don't recall, but in that range. But if you ask me how many interviews I've given, it's probably over 300 interviews. So do the math. How many failures I had to go through to get one success, one offer letter. Had I stopped, maybe I first 5 interviews, I didn't get it. Had I stopped in the fifth one, I would have never got my job, right? Or in some stretch, I might have given 10 interviews, I didn't get anyone. But had I stopped there, I would have not got the next breakthrough in my career. So, so the first point is I would tell is that be prepared to embrace failure. Failure is the foundation of success. You have to go through these things in order to get the success. And then, as you are doing this, the second point I would tell is that learn, be a lifelong learner. You have to learn. And I remember when I was starting my career, um, it was I was even studying more than I used to study in the college. Every day, even in early in my career, I used to get up early in the morning and 2 hours study, and then after the office when I come back home and after my dinner, I'm studying again, um, because I never stopped. And even today, even 30 years doing um, into my career, I still keep aside time to study new things, study new behavior, study people I work with. Study doesn't mean that it's just the skill set. It's a lot of things. Study people, study leaders, study your environment, study your surroundings, study how other people make decisions in a tough situations like that. So be a lifelong learner. And then next thing is seek out for challenge. I mean, a ship is probably the safest place when it is in the dock. But that's not the purpose of a ship. It has to venture out, go, venture out in the water, where the water is choppy. It's probably there is a storm or something. Until and unless you seek out adventure, you are never going to grow. You just Some of you go to gym, right? If you don't if you don't press hard, you don't develop muscle. If you take it easy, if you just say that, okay, I'm going to just take for 10 pounds of weight and just do it, it's not going to develop muscle. You got to stretch yourself. You got to do some more and stretch every day a little bit. That's how you're going to go. And you have to actually check your limits and then stretch a little bit. Can I do a little bit more? Can I do a little bit more? Can I do a little? I remember when I was in fifth grade or sixth grade, my high school teacher, um, I still remember, he's one of my mentors in early life. He changed my thoughts in many ways. He used to tell that you want to be a weightlifter, and when a cow give birth to a baby cub, right? You start taking and lifting that cow every day, 2, 3 times, and in 6 months, this little baby cow will be a big cow. And if you do it right, you will be able to lift that cow. And it kind of struck in my mind. And this little thing you do, you create your practice, you create your habit, and then you keep doing, and that's going to stretch your ability. And you could venture out in many places. And the fifth most important thing that I have done, and I would suggest you to do to change your mindset, and that's going to help, is seek feedback. Find a mentor, seek feedback. We are not perfect. We'll do mistake. And it is okay. And in big corporation like that, actually we reward people to make mistake. And in some corporation I have seen in the United States, they actually judge how many times you do mistake. That means you are actually trying different things, trying to innovate things, or and challenging your ability, existing thing, and all those things. So don't be afraid, but seek feedback, find a mentor in your early career. I think, if Sudeep, if you asked me that, Prasun, is there anything you would like to do differently? One thing it always comes in my mind is that I would have looked for a mentor who would tell me what are the right things to do, what are the wrong things to do, because they have done it. They could tell, don't step on that. I have done that. And you don't need to touch the fire to burn your hand and learn in that way. Someone has done it, you learn from there. Finding mentor and getting the feedback is extremely important. And one other thing in feedback is so important, that if you are already in a job, you probably have a yearly job, your performance review, where they tell, okay, you do these things less, you do these things more, you are, this is your development area, this, take that in a very serious way and learn from that. And my advice to that would be, don't wait for the year end for feedback. Don't be afraid to ask your manager or your peer you are working with feedback every month, or in a casual conversation. If you are working with your manager, say, if you don't mind, and you are probably having a coffee, and you said that, you know what, last year when you talk about that, I need to develop in these areas, and I'm doing certain things now. Do you see any difference? Do you think it's going in the right direction? Am I doing things right, or anything else you want me to do? um, they'll be so happy. Your manager will be so happy, your peer will be so happy to give that um, feedback, and take that and kind of act on that. So these are few things. If and I practice that, I practice that every day. It'll really help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could remember my early days. So I have also failed almost the 17 interview in my first job. So yeah, but I never give up. So I thought of, okay, so why not to try it? So I started my
Exactly.
career in the sales executive. I started my career as a sales. I have done that sales job almost the 4 year, 3.5 years. Then my dream was that to how to move into the IT industry, and I
Mhm.
took that particular things as a challenge, and then I move into the IT industry after 3.5 years. So yeah,
Yes.
so that's the only thing I would say is to the everyone. So better not to give up very easily. Take
Yeah.
anything, and only thing is that you have to build your mindset that you can do anything and everything. Nothing is
Absolutely.
impossible in this world.
Mhm.
Everything can be possible. Only thing is that you have to take some steps for that,
Yeah.
and you have to
Sudeep,
set your goal. Yeah, yeah,
Sudeep,
yeah,
I'll give you one example.
yeah,
I think it'll be very helpful as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I personally, this person has influenced me a lot, late in my career in last few years. Mark Cuban, you probably heard this name, Mark Cuban. He is a businessman, um, based in United States. He's also an entrepreneur and an investor. He invests money in small businesses and innovators, who are coming with different ideas. He invests there. He also owns a basketball team based in Dallas, Texas, called Maverick. Uh, but I wanted to um, tell his story, because he was born in a very mediocre family. He was a very mediocre student. When he was 12 years old, um, he wanted to buy a pair of sneakers. He liked it, and his father said, I can't afford it. So at 12 years age, he started selling garbage bag door to door, because he wanted that pair of shoes so badly, that was his dream. He wanted to go sell garbage bag door to door, and got that. He was not a great student. I'll tell very briefly his story. Um, when he was um, when he was in college, he started his own business. He opened a pub, bar, um, and it failed in few days, in a few months, right? And then he went to his another town where he was studying. He started working in a TV repair shop as his business, because his mind is always with the business, and it failed. He was fired. Then he joined a bank. While he was studying, he joined a bank. He wanted to work. And he was challenging and questioning his manager a lot. So he was fired. Then he finished his college. He went to Texas, and then he started selling. milk powder door to door because he wanted to do business. And it didn't work out well. People, it was a disaster. It was a failure. And in late 90s, when the PC came, and then we used to have this big floppy disk and DOS, and then you have softwares and everything, he started selling softwares. It didn't go well. He failed miserably. Then he started another company. He joined another company as a salesperson. Is called Your Business Software. It didn't work out well too. He failed. He was fired. Then he started his own company called Microsystems. It was developing small softwares and selling it and things like that to small businesses. And in 2 years and 3 years, he sold that business for 4 million. Then he started his company with his buddy. It's called broadcast.com. This live streaming that Sudeep, we are doing it today, that he was probably one of the few who started live streaming at the beginning. In very early, I think in 2000 or it's in 99, he started his broadcast.com. He will live stream an event. I think there's one event in Chicago. He got a contract somehow to live stream, and it became so popular. It was groundbreaking. And in 3-4 years, he developed his business. And in 2004, Yahoo bought his broadcast.com $5.6 billion. $5.6 billion. And today, he's in Shark Tank. It's one of the popular business show. And every time he talks about this, and he always encouraged new entrepreneurs. Said, you know what? The only thing is in your control is your effort, and that's all. That's all it needs, and you got to keep doing. And what he always said, it doesn't matter how many times you failed. You just need to be right once to be successful. And is this is so powerful. And when I just think about him, said, oh my God, he went through so many things and he's still successful to this level. So we all can do that. We all have that. And you all can do that, because I know you are a piece of gold. You have tremendous talent. Don't be bounded by any boundaries, or your uncle or your friend or your someone is telling. You could do whatever you want. Just change that mindset.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So you should have the burning desire to do something in your life. And if you don't have that burning desire, so nothing is possible for you.
Yeah.
Everything is impossible.
Yeah.
So this word itself is impossible itself. It's possible. That's from there only this word came. The
Correct.
possible. Yeah. Okay. So my next questions to you is that, so how can someone set up his goal to develop the growth mindset? So is there any kind of the ways someone can set up his goal, or is there any process or anything is related to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, um, we talked about goal setting, right?
Yeah,
And especially if you are, let's take a couple of scenarios, right?
yeah, yeah,
If someone is in the final year of your college, right? You are exploring, you are just finishing your college, and at the same time, you are exploring how you can get into your first job. Um, that's scenario one. Then the other scenario is maybe you just got your first job, but you are not happy, right? You want to change, and um, I don't want you to be happy at your first job. Believe me, that's a fixed mindset. You have to change that. Um, Back in the days when we used to see people get into public sector job in sale, well, and railways and things like that, and life is set, right? I'm not talking about that mindset. World has changed tremendously. We should not have that mentality. There is nothing called a fixed job, a permanent job. Please keep in mind that you have to continuously prove in this whole world, in this current world, you have to prove yourself every day. So in that. Now, coming back to goal setting and mindset, right? So, if you are in the first scenario, you are in the final year of your college and you are looking for a job, and first thing I would say is that do a market survey. What's the skill set that is very, very hot and it's going to actually help you, right? Do a little survey. If you are in engineering field, I don't know whether you are in electrical electronics or you are in computer science or information technology. Do your research. I cannot talk about other areas, but what I can talk about is in IT sector, right? So I will do, if I am that scenario, I would do a little research and say that, okay, I want to go to data science or in security area or in cloud computing or in AI ML, in that area. Whatever is my passion, I'll do a little research and find out which area has more job opportunities. And not for a long term, I could see that it's going to grow. For example, cloud computing is going to grow, right? Cybersecurity, it's going to grow, right? Data science and analytics, it's going to grow. AI ML, it's going to grow. So do a little bit research, find out the niche that you are comfortable or you want to do, and then learn that trade, learn that skill. And learning that skill means you do it every day. And sometimes you need to take help. You ask for help. Someone knows AI, ML, learn from them. And in today's world, I mean, you Google, you YouTube, you find tons of information. Do that. Learning. It's extremely important. Seek feedback again. Find a mentor. Seek feedback. This is what I'm doing. What else I need to do? If you go for an interview, if you fail, ask for the feedback. I don't know whether in India, if you go for an interview and if you ask for a feedback, whether they give it or not. But in some people, they will give. And you take and fine tune that. Fine tune that. That's extremely important. Extremely important. And then your goal is to be, don't tie your goal to the success that I'm going to get such and such job. Remember, Mark Cuban says the effort is something you control, not anything
Correct.
else. So
That's
your
true.
effort is to go for interview. I'm going to apply 50 places and I'm going to attend at least 20 interviews. That's in your control, and do it. And every time you attend that interview or your test, you learn from that and correct. You have to improve upon all of those things. So that's that. And then other thing is, when you get that failure, make sure that um, you don't get depressed, you don't get demoralized. Keeping your energy level up, your confidence up is extremely important. You have to just know that this is a part of procedure. Never ever get demoralized. And then as a part of your goal, you have to make sure that you don't bound yourself with a lot of um, constraints. So for example, if you are looking for a job and you are based in, say, Calcutta or in Bhubaneswar or in Jamshedpur, don't confine yourself that, oh, I'm going to get a job in Calcutta or in Bhubaneswar or in Jamshedpur. You should extend your boundaries. I'm giving an example that boundaries could be in many ways. I have seen people, they got a good opportunity in Pune or in other places, but they said, you know what, I'm comfortable in Delhi, so I'm not going to go there, so I'm not taking that. Not in early your career. Um, Take those boundaries off, and this is going to really help you. And the other thing I would say is that measure. Okay, you got to measure yourself. um, that, okay, 6 months I have been doing this. Let's see how I'm doing in terms of my effort, in terms of opportunities that I explore, in terms of how many mentors I got. Are these feedbacks that I got, I'm working on it or not? Sometimes writing on a little piece of paper is going to be helpful. um, I do that. And as I was just telling, the rotational program, when I work with these young uh, professionals, I also teach them, guide them how to write their personal goal. There's a corporation, they want their goal to be written and measured in a certain way. But then when someone call me as their mentor, I tell them a lot more things, lot more candy, because we have that trust built. You have to trust your mentor though. Think that their intention is to help you, not to demean you or kind of confine you in any way. So when I mentor, when I help these a young professional, I tell them, and then I help them to develop their goal, to measure that goal, help them um, connecting with other mentors as well. You can have multiple mentors. That's another thing. So, so if that's the first scenario, you could have your goal, but just be simple, time bound, measurable, specific, attainable. Just do that and do it every day. Apply that just for fun. Apply that for your daily life. You will see the difference. Do it for 4 weeks. You will see the difference. Okay.
Correct. Correct. And another thing, what I am doing now, also, I'm doing for the quite long time. Every day, I'm write down my goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. And based on that, I write down the task every day. What are the
Mm.
tasks I need to do it daily basis? I just mark it also. So
Yeah.
how much I have scored out of, if I write it down the 5 tasks I have to do today, I write it
Mhm.
down how many tasks I have complete, and I give the marks also. Out of this 5, how much I
Correct.
have scored? Might be the 2. Why not the other 3 I have finished? So I need to ask myself exactly. So why I have not done that? So there should be some reason definitely, and there should be some kind of the excuse might be we will give always. But you
Yes.
have to overcome those kind of the excuse. That is the most important thing. Another
Absolutely.
things what I am doing nowadays. So even though you failed in your in anywhere in your life, try to celebrate that failure also, because the only thing is that what we are doing whenever we are getting a success in our life, we are doing the celebration for that. You should do the celebration for the failure as well, so that you can understand that things, that is you have given the effort for that. Definitely somehow some of the reason might be so you have failed in your life, in your career journey, wherever it might be. But you should celebrate that, and you should share that particular things with the people. And then you start doing the impact analysis of that particular failure, what you have told already. So why I have done, I have failed in this particular area, then you try to improve that and implement that things into your next journey. So that is the best way to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right. You got to reward yourself,
Correct.
and that's not based on outcome.
Yeah, yeah. You
Based on
feel
your
that, yeah. So I feel that. So today, okay, today I will go with the movie tonight. Okay, go for a movie, enjoy it,
yeah
then come back again. You find it out why I have failed today. Okay, might be
yeah
that this is the interview I have faced. What are the questions I'm not able to answer to that questions, and what is the root cause for that? I'm not competent on that particular answer. You should figure it out. That is the main thing. What I feel that.
correct.
Yeah. So yeah, last things what I will ask you the one questions. So what kind of the key message you want to give? You have already given the lot of message to the people. Okay. Last questions I will ask. Just give some key message to the people so that they can work on that particular things, and they can develop the growth mindset, and they can move forward, or might be the accelerate to their career journey.
Absolutely. So remember your life as a whole, and your career is not a sprint. It's not 100-meter race. It's a marathon. And remember Usain Bolt. He's world famous, world renowned sprinter from Jamaica in 2008 Olympics, 2012 and 16. Um, he won 8 gold medal. He's still holding the record for the fastest 100-meter run. It's less than 10 seconds. He has record for 200-meter race, as well as the relay race he has. Um, and he said that there are many people who are first starter. They start very fast. But he said that I'm better finisher than them. Better finisher than them. Think about that. Your life journey is you might seen someone from your class or from someone you know in your family is doing better, and you get depressed because my career is not starting as fast as it should. Don't worry about it. Different people start in a different way. I started my at the beginning of my career. I mean, it didn't start that well. I had struggled. I had struggled. Probably to take another session to talk about my life story. But I knew that this is just the beginning. I just have to go through this struggle and get it. Um, so be ready for a marathon. Don't look for a quick sprint. Okay, so that's that. And then next thing is I would take an example of a neurosurgeon, a very famous, world famous neurosurgeon, Dr. Ben Carson. If you have heard his name, he's an American born doctor. Um, he was born in Detroit, Michigan. It's a very poor family, African American background, raised by single mother, went through a lot of troubles and everything. And when he was falling behind his studies and everything as a single mother, she couldn't even study herself. The only thing she could do is to discipline the kid. She got two books every week and said that read this and write a summary of this book at the end of the week. And that's the only thing she could do for him. And uh, Ben started developing that reading habits and started learning. And every week he will read two books, write summary. And with that habit, he changed his entire life. He went to Yale for his undergrad. He went to University of Michigan, did his MD. Then he became a neurosurgeon in Johns Hopkins, which is the leading medical research university in the whole world. Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. He became a world-renowned surgeon who actually did groundbreaking surgery first time for conjoined twins. Their heads were joined, and he separated those twins, and they were alive. In his life, he did 500 surgeries, um, and 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 then he become he wanted to be president. In 2016, he ran for presidency. He lost, but he became a HUD secretary, means Housing and Urban Development Secretary under Donald Trump. But he's a motivational speaker now. He write books and he still advise people. His story actually influenced me a lot, and he tells that there is no such thing as average human being. If you have a normal brain, you are already a superior. So I would just tell that keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You are not average. I'm not average. Sudeep is not average. You are definitely not average. You have what it takes. Just believe in yourself. Never let other people control your mind. Keep doing. You know that you are going through maybe some struggle. Know that it's a part of process. Just have your dream. Never let your dream die. Have a dream, translate that to goals, your long term, your short term goals, and just keep acting on it. Your plan will change depending on some situations and everything. You have a family situation that 3 months you can't do anything. That doesn't mean that you will throw away your plan. You adjust your plan. Keep working on it. Keep working on it. You just have to go through these clutters of failures and all of those things. Keep doing the right thing. You'll reach there. And I have done it. You could do it. I know you could do it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prasun, for your time. Yeah, it's a really valuable message to the people. I hope so, those who have listened to this particular message. So you can follow these particular things, how to develop the growth mindset, and you can implement that things in your life. So yeah, thank you once again. And we are closing the broadcast from here itself. And thank you everyone, those who have listened to us. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.